Hello everyone, and thank you for coming back to yet another episode of The Gloving Paradigm, where I am your host Peter, aka LPD Dubuque. And this week, it's going to be a very interesting week because we get to talk about a thing that I like to talk about. But here's the thing. I've come to the realization that a lot of people just simply don't know how to operate their lights or program them. And they always ask people how to program them, even though companies send you the manual of how to do it. You're just gonna keep sneezing over there while you interrupt me? This is what I deal with, everyone, by the way. This is what I deal with. If you're also wondering why I always have to cut out a lot, it's because of that. Just want to let you know.
5 minutes later.
Anyways, where was I? Oh, that's right. So yes, I come to the realization that just a lot of people just don't know how to operate their lights or how to program them, even though the company sends you a manual of how to do so. Because people have an aversion to reading, yet they go online to read comments. Anyways, so since that's not the case, since I have to explain this, might as well do an episode on it. After all, I do like talking about programming theory. So yes, we are doing programming theory.
Flawless segue.
Welcome to my insane asylum. That is this walk-in closet with a bunch of crap all over the walls.
Welcome to my life.
A few moments later.
Anyways, yes, so what is it about this programming theory that I'm going to be doing? Well, it's simple. I'm just going to break down programming. I'm just going to break it down to help further explain it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how you're going to get into each of these programming points because each chip has a different setup on how to do so. So, if you need help on programming your lights and you need help reading the manual, please let me know in the comment section down below or hit me up on any of my social medias and I will help direct you to figure this out. But I'm just going to break down the general overviews of the different programming points within a lot of the chips that we have out in the market. This is also barring bulb chips or microlights as I like to call them, because not all of them really have a programming. There is one that was on the market, but we're not getting into that. That's going to be its own episode, okay?
Okay.
So, that being said, let's get right into the thing.
5 minutes later.
So, what is the breakdown? How does this work? All right. The breakdown, by definition, is the method in which manufacturers categorize sections of the programming features into parts that are adjusted whenever used. Okay, that is basically the definition that we're going to be using here. Okay. Why is that the case? It's because over time we've had different ways of programming our lights. If you've been around as long as I have, which I know it's kind of rare to hear nowadays.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, programming in the early days was not that great. They had different ways of going about it, and there were some that worked really well, and there were some that didn't do so good. But that is neither here nor there.
Sure, Jan.
We are now in what I would like to call the post-Chroma Era. If you don't know what that is, there will be a history lesson and a different episode on that. But just to summarize it, when the E-Light Chroma came out, that is what redefined the entire paradigm of the programming industry when it came to lights, because of how they program that particular chip. It set a whole precedent on how to color blend and all that stuff. All right, that's why when you hear pre-chroma and post-chroma stuff, that's what they're referring to.
Oh.
But yes, this breakdown with the lights pretty much separates into these kind of categories. You got color selection, flash pattern selection. The rest of these are pretty much going to be asterisks because only certain chips have them, so keep that in mind.
Wait, what?
The accelerometer, mode reorder, Conjure mode, battery lock, randomizer, chip-to-chip communication, Bluetooth hub. These are all caveats at that point. But the two main ones you need to know are color selection and flash pattern selection. That is pretty much where we are at. Those are the two base ones that you will find in all the programmable chips, or all the macro chips as I like to refer to them. Now, most of you are probably asking me, why is this important? Why do we need to know this stuff? Well, if you want to use your lights and change them up the way you want them, you kind of need to know how to do this. Not only that, but understanding how one operates each feature is paramount if one wants to maximize the use of their equipment. Okay, this is something I have been preaching for about 2 years now on this podcast about how to use and operate with your equipment, because you cannot perform gloving without performing with your equipment. Gloving without finger lights and gloves on is just finger styling, okay? That is all what it is. Are you serious? This is actually happening right now.
Much later.
What the hell?
75 years later.
Okay. So, after having to literally unlock my phone and turn off my alarm, get right back into this. So, we're going to start breaking down these colors. We're going to start breaking down the programming, alright? So, color selection. What is color selection? This feature that allows you to choose not only the colors that you want to put in, but the brightness or tint levels that you want for each of these colors. So, most of the time when it comes to color selection, basically all you're going to do is be clicking through your lights, choosing the color that you want, and then you hold down on that color, and typically most of the color selection programming features that have tint control or true brightness control, depending on which one you want to use, go check out my my episode on the difference between those two right over there. Yeah. But yeah, most of the time you're going to sit there and hold on the color, and then it's going to start cycling through the 3 brightness levels that you have, or 4 if you have the Uber Nanos. We're not going to get it. But typically there's 3. Once you find the brightness level you want, you're going to let go and it's going to put it in. Most of the time these lights like to flash the color that you selected before going right back into the programming section to go do more selections. The other thing that you need to understand is not every chip has the same amount of color slots in it. So, for example, the Apollos only have 6. Most E-Light product, Amazing Light products usually only have 7. I think the Elements have 8 or something like that. Don't remember. Typically it's 7 slots for them. Futuristic lights, they were typically 8. Well, if you look at the ions, they're all 8. They all have 8 slots. But atoms have a wide range. There's like one that has 3, one that has 9, one that has 15 slots, which we're not going to get into that. But each chip is going to have a different amount of color slots that you can choose from. Each chip is going to have different variations of slots that you can choose from when it comes to certain programming points. We're not going to get into that right now, but I'm just letting you know, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. And this is where people start freaking out, because it's just like, there's so much I can do with it. Yeah, that's kind of the point. It's why we made them.
What a time to be alive.
Okay, yes. Usually this is the first programming feature that you will have in your chip. It's usually the first selection you get to go through because it's the most common one that you're going to change. Of course, each chip is going to also have a different color palette. Again, Apollos only have 16? Yes, 16. The original Chroma controls that I have only have 30. Atoms that I have 39? I want to say 39. You have that. Now, when it comes to the Spectres, they actually have the whole third-party app thing, which I'm not going to get into, but they pretty much have an entire chromatic palette that they get to use. And it's indicated by a specific color when it comes to programming. So, if I remember correctly, I think the Apollos are orange. Again, all these chips do come with a manual. Not only that, it's going to show you the palette, it's going to show you all this stuff. So, you have that. Now, typically what is the second selection within this category is flash pattern selection. Now, what is flash pattern selection? Basically is you're changing how the colors are going to look when you're moving them, which is the pattern of your flashing. So you have things like full strobe, dots, hyperstrobe, chroma, or ribbon, or tracer, depending on which chip you're using. You have solid, you have dash dots, there's so many out there, you guys. There's so many different flash patterns. But you have so many different names that you get to choose from. This is where people actually come up with these really cool sets that have these really cool flashes and stuff like that. Not only that, but if you guys actually go check out my episodes on flash pattern manipulation, which is somewhere right there, you know where I'm pointing.
We know.
Somewhere over there. Go check that out. I did a really good job on explaining how flash pattern manipulation is actually really good. somebody to come up with some really cool sets. And not only that, it makes you stand out a lot more when it comes to your performance.
3 days later.
Yes, so flash pattern selection, yes, is typically the second selection within the feature selection. So let's just say red, green, blue, purple are your 4 selections. So you got color selection, flash pattern selection. These are the color indicators that are going to indicate what those are. Each chip is going to be different. Check your manual to see which color indicator is for which flash or for which programming setting. Each chip is going to have a different set of flash patterns. Now they're the staples. I call these the staples because these are the ones that will forever be in the gloving community because it's what we use for so long. So you got regular strobe or full strobe, you got DUPs, you got hyper strobe, and you got strobe. These are the 4 base ones that everyone always wants. And I don't blame them because these are the most versatile in terms of flash pattern manipulation. Again, go check out that episode.
No, I don't really feel like it.
Now, those are your 2 codified programming features that you will have in all the chips that are macro chips, programmable chips. Okay? A couple of the other caveats that come into play. Now, we have mode reorder / Conjure mode, which I'm lumping these 2 together because typically these 2 are put together. Okay? These are typically the ones that people want the most. Alright? Now, when it comes to mode reorder / Conjure mode, I do put these 2 together because it's pretty much where they are. But this feature allows you to pretty much reconfigure the order of your modes. Which, if you don't know what I mean by mode is literally the setting that has your color and flash pattern, all this stuff set into one setting. Into one slot, which are known as modes. Typically you have ones that have 5 modes, there's ones with 6 modes out there, there's one with 8 modes out there, there's one with 12. I've seen them all.
Wow!
But yes, when it comes to macro chips, most of them do have mode reorder. Or, depending on which company you go with, there's one that has it known as move to the front, which is basically mode reordering. But Conjure mode is something I also need to explain as well. So what is Conjure mode? Conjure mode is basically turning the light into an on-off light. If that makes any sense. It's just click on, click off. We call that Conjure mode because there is a particular style within the gloving community called conjuring, which I have another episode right there for you to check out all about conjuring. I went to great lengths to do it. Alright, go check it out.
No.
But yes, that is where we get the term Conjure mode from. Alright? Yes, there is multi-mode conjuring. Again, not going to get into it. Go check out that episode. But yes, but not all chips are going to have this. There is a chip I'm going to be putting out a review soon that doesn't have this. And to me, that's a big hit because you now just segregated an entire section of the gloving community without offering that to them. And I know a lot of people are going to get on my case and be like, well, you can set up the chip in this fashion and it'll be totally fine. No, we're not doing that.
You're scared. It's okay.
So yeah, you have mode reordering. I like mode reordering. In my opinion, my favorite mode reordering feature is what Amazing Lights came out with. So yes, I rock the original Chroma controls. They're my babies because they've been there for the longest time and they have gone through a crap load of crap with me. And that's why they're great. What I love about mode reordering on Amazing products, especially when it comes to the original Chroma control, is I like how I can change it from a 1 mode to a 2 mode to a 3 mode to a 4 mode all the way up to 5 modes. I can actually take off modes so it just cycles through, like, let's say 3 modes. I like that feature because it allows me to create any amount of modes and I don't have to sit there and try to configure the other modes so it allows me to do that kind of loop thing. It doesn't work. Alright. So to me, Amazing Lights has the best mode reordering on the market. That's just my opinion though.
How dare you!
However, the other things you also need to know is that there are certain chips out there that have what I call mode lock. What do I mean by mode lock? Mode locking is basically where you have a set amount of modes that you cannot change. So in this example, we're going to talk about the ions. The ions have 8 modes. These modes cannot change. You cannot reorder them, you cannot take some out, and you cannot change their flash patterns. That is what I mean by mode lock. Their flash patterns are set in place and their modes are set in place. They cannot be changed. The only thing you're going to be able to change on these programmable lights or macro chips is the colors. However, there's a reason behind that, which again, if you go check out my review about the FL ions, you'll understand why. It's right there. You know where I'm pointing.
Much later.
Okay, here is a feature that not all the lights have, but it is a big one. It is a big feature. I swear to God, anyone who keeps asking me what an accelerometer is, I swear to God, you guys are trolling me. Because your phone has one in there. The reason why your phone can rotate is because of an accelerometer. Alright, that's how it works. I don't find it so interesting how Zoomers like to sit here and tell me that they know so much more than me, but they don't even know what an accelerometer is when it's in their phone.
Nothing you do matters. Your existence is a lie.
Yet they tell me that I don't know how to use YouTube or Google. Anyways, so yes, accelerometer, basically what you need to understand is that it is a device within the chip that not only does it measure and indicate the sensors of movement, hence why it's called an accelerometer, but it can also indicate directionality, which is pretty much, lateral or vertical, horizontal. It can actually tell where it's pointing. That's where the accelerometer comes into play. Now, why do we have the accelerometer? Well, back in the year 2014, a company came out with a chip called the Kinetic. Yes, Futuristic came out with a chip called the Kinetic, which, in my opinion, and I can say this because I remember before this chip came out, nothing was on the market like this. This chip redefined everything in the gloving community. It redefined the entire landscape of gloving because of this introduction. There's only a couple lights that actually have the accelerometer feature. If I remember correctly, besides the Spectra Evos, and the Atoms, and the Special Edition Atoms, the Uber Nanos are another one that also has the accelerometer feature. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole semantics of which one's better. Some of them, I would certainly say, if I had to put in a scaling, I've been told so many times that it goes Uber Nanos, Atoms, and Spectras. But that's just people's opinions, and I don't really care. I just want to make sure that if I'm going to use the accelerometer feature, it better be freaking accurate, because that's just how I am. So yes, you have the accelerometer feature. It's based on either directionality or speed or things of that nature. So another thing I will definitely want to talk about. These are the last two things I want to talk about. You have randomizer and chip-to-chip communication, and you can put the Bluetooth hub in that kind of category as well. But all right, so randomizer. There's only one chip on the market right now that actually has the randomizer, if I remember correctly. As far as I can remember, God, it makes me feel so old. The ions have the randomizer. They're the ones that actually have a randomizer on it. Now, what is the randomizer? Short answer. It is a feature within the chip that takes color selections, tint selection, and blink selections and mixes them all up in a random order and creates it for you. So basically all you have to do is click and it will give you a different setup, and you can put it on any mode that you want. Okay? That's what the randomizer is. It streamlines people's process because there are so many people out there in the gloving community who don't like making color sets. They don't want to sit down and think about, oh, what colors do I need to use? The randomizer solves that problem for you right there and then.
Wow! That was amazing!
Don't have time to make a color set? Use the randomizer. It'll make wonderful color sets. I've seen so many sets from the randomizer that is chef's kiss.
Make it stop! Make it stop!
So, the chips that actually have that, again, is the ions. As far as I can remember. I don't remember if the Spectra Evos actually gave that feature yet or not. Don't know, don't really care.
Many months later.
One thing I'll also say is that there is a thing called chip-to-chip communication. Now, I'm kind of just going to use it as an umbrella term, but there are two different forms. You have Bluetooth, and then you actually have chip-to-chip communication. Now, Bluetooth is simple. It uses Bluetooth. But to people who don't know how chip-to-chip communication works, it basically uses the same technology that the Army has been using since the 80s. And what I mean by that is that in the communications department, we have devices that you can literally just point to another radio that has all the encryption code stuff on it, and it puts that encryption key into that device. Therefore, it can now decrypt all the encrypted information that's going to go through it. That way we can actually read what that information is. Chip-to-chip communication uses the same thing.
Oh.
Again, I'm going to refer to my review on the FL ions because I go into great detail about the chip-to-chip communication. Go check it out.
All right, then. Keep your secrets.
But yes, that's what chip-to-chip communication is. It's basically you have a sensor that indicates the code that's going to go from one chip into another chip, and it programs that chip. Now, the atoms have a full chip-to-chip or slot chip-to-chip. Now, what do they mean by slot chip-to-chip? That's taking one of your modes and literally transferring that mode into another chip. Basically, it's a full chip-to-chip is literally taking all of your modes and transferring it into another chip. That's basically it. Now, when it comes to the Bluetooth technology that Amazing Lights has an iron fist grip on.
Shoot him! Shoot the baby teeth right out his mouth.
Basically, it just uses Bluetooth technology. You get this nice little hub that connects to your phone. Okay, and you sit there and you have this app and you can do all these creative things. You can make your own flash patterns, you can make your own colors, you can do all this cool stuff all the time. Woo!
Stop it. Get some help.
When it comes to the Bluetooth part of it is that you're going to transfer all the stuff you did on your phone into the Bluetooth. And the Bluetooth hub actually is pretty cool because it gives you a nice little preview, which is really nice. I actually really like that. However, that's neither here nor there. Then it's going to transfer all that stuff into the chip. Okay, it kind of uses chip-to-chip communication at that point, but I'm not going to get into that. So yes, those are your features, and that's basically your breakdown. That is everything you need to know of how to understand programming theory, is that it breaks down into these kind of categories. Now, I will certainly say if I come back to a programming theory, yes, we're going to talk about, maybe I'll just break down the categories in more detail. I can do that. You guys will see me do stuff like that. Yes! Yes! So, in summation, it's pretty much how you need to know breaking down your chips, how they work. Now with bulb chips, it's pretty simple. You just stick the bulb into the light and then it works. Now, yes, there are certain bulb chips out there that do offer a Conjure feature, which is basically you choose the mode and you hold it until the light turns off and then turns back on or something. There's usually an instruction manual for that. So if you're looking for a one mode bulb chip light, most of them actually have the Conjure feature. So definitely double check your product information before you purchase. Okay, cool.
2,000 years later.
But yes, that's pretty much all for my episode. I certainly hope that everybody's enjoyed what I had to say. There's just so much, even though I don't think anyone's watching at all. But there was so much I had to cover. Okay, but if you have any questions that I did not cover in this episode, you have the comment section down below. You have the social media outlets that I have linked in the description down below. Please click on those if you want to talk to me even further. Not only that, if you're not on the Worldwide Glover Discord group, you can find me there. I'm always hanging out on there. But yes, you have those places, you have my social media, and of course, if you like the content I'm making and you wish you help me make better content, you have the wonderful opportunity to support me on Patreon.
Okay, you need to let that go.
Oh my God, okay? No one cares. It's so boring every day.
There's a video right over there. Go watch it. It shows you all the perks. Have fun. But yep, that is pretty much all for my episode. I would just like to say thank you to everybody who's watched so far. Certainly hope you guys enjoy what I had to say. I appreciate everyone's support who has been giving me the support that I need. So, and I hope you guys are giving me the opportunity that you're spreading the knowledge out there that I'm just trying to help people get into this. And that's all I care about. Yep, thank you guys so much for watching. But I am your host, Peter, aka LPD8 the Buke. And I'll see you guys all next week.